Now let's continue with this story. The battle for the AmaZulu throne continues. King Misuzulu Kazwelithini met with Amabutu and Izinduna in Johannesburg earlier today. This comes ahead of the much anticipated court battle for the throne next month. The case filed by Prince Simakade to unseat his brother, King Misuzulu, will be heard by the North Gauteng High Court. The prince claims, as the firstborn son of the late King Goodwill Zwelithini Kabeke Zulu, he is the legitimate heir to the throne. eNCA senior reporter Siphamandla Goge is following that story for us, and he joins us now. Sipha, this really has gone on for a long time. What was the meeting about today? What did the king say about those contesting him, if anything?
Well, it would appear that this is just starting, even though it's been going on for 2 years. But next month at the High Court in North Gauteng, that's when we expect that this case will be ventilated, because there are still those who do not recognize and accept that the king of the Zulu nation, King Misuzulu Kazwelithini, is the rightful heir to the throne. So that case is basically about contesting his recognition by the South African government, and that handover of a certificate of recognition by the President of the Republic, Princess Magade, and those who support him are still adamant that as the late king's firstborn son, he's the rightful heir to the throne. But those who support King Misuzulu say the matter is done and dusted, because his family on the throne, all legislative processes have been followed, he's been recognized by the government, so there is no dispute about that. So today the king met with Izinduna, those who lead Amabutu in Gauteng, basically just to engage with them, to brief them about what is happening in the royal family and in the kingdom, but to urge them to work with him in developing the Zulu nation. Remember, a number of AmaZulu reside in Gauteng, so he came to Gauteng to meet with those who lead them, urging them that they must not be sidetracked by what is currently happening, and saying, well, these divisions that we've been seeing for the past 2 years will come to pass at some point, even though he did not delve much into the issue of this dispute over the throne. But he spoke in codes, saying the throne is not for him. He's merely presiding over this on behalf of his late father. He's occupying his late father's position, simply saying those who contest him, it's not about him personally, really. So that's the coded message he gave to Izinduna and some Amabutu who came to listen to him. Let's please listen to the king.
Ngikhona la kuningi imisebenzi yesilo nesizwe eyenzeka lapha nina besilo sihlalo njengoba ngihlezi kusona, ngihlezi ngigcizelela, angihlezi ngoba ngithanda mina, futhi angihlezi ngentando yami, ngoba ngihlezi lapha ngizobambela isilo esibuzile, angiyibambeli mina, ngizobambela ubaba, umuzi, isizwe, konke nezinduna zakhe ngizobambela yena. Ngakho ubaba ngese uhambe ngimhloniphe emhlabeni, konke engikwenza ngokwakhe okuhlangene naye ngizokuhlonipha njengoba naye kade ngimhlonipha, kunjalo kusho ukuthi nesizwe ngizosihlonipha. Ngiyathokoza nina besilo, inkosi ngibusise.
All right, so as you explained, it's not about me, it's about the legacy for my father and the role I'm meant to play. Talk to me, though, about what he said about rural communities and uplifting rural communities, because that's something that I think is a central cause of his, isn't it?
Indeed, especially if you take into account the depressing economic climate. You know, he presides over one of the largest nations in the country, but one of the poorest nations that is plagued by poverty and the issues of diseases. You know, KwaZulu-Natal is one of those provinces whereby people who live there, the king's subjects, are really suffering. And many people have been questioning, even during his father's tenure or era, to say what is he doing about rural development to uplift his people. If you take into account that he draws quite a large amount of money from the provincial government, even though the argument will always be that it does not go to him personally, it does not go to his pockets, it services the royal palaces, pay for staff members, and look after all other related things to the palaces and the royal household as a whole. But there are those who are saying his role should be very visible in uplifting his father's people, and that's something he spoke about today, calling for partnership with all the stakeholders, including the leaders of AmaButho and iZinduna who live in Gauteng, to say at the end of the day they need to go back home and make their contribution in building the nation, empowering the nation. But he made that comment in the context of the ongoing traditional ceremonies. You know, in the Zulu calendar, a number of powerful and well-known traditional ceremonies will always take place. For instance, in January there is the commemoration of the Battle of Isandlwane. So the king saying that celebration or commemoration needs to uplift the people of rural Nutu, which is isolated and poor, and saying when it comes to the Reed Dance ceremony, which is held in Kwanongoma, the local people must benefit through job opportunities and business opportunities, saying whatever is brought during those ceremonies, including, by the way, the commemoration of King Shaka's Day, which is commonly known as Heritage Day, saying, well, during those commemorations and celebrations, the locals in Kwatuguza, Kwanongoma and rural Inutu must benefit from those traditional ceremonies, calling on all other stakeholders to partner with him in developing his father's people. Let's take a listen.
Isibusiso siyasho ukuthi uyovula ezinye inhlelo zentuthuko ethinta uZulu la ayosibusisa kakhulu kunayizolo ngokuthi sihloniphile indlela nenqubomgomo esithe sashiyelwa sabusiswa ngayo amakhosi ebamsene neinduna ezindala. Siqhubeke na umsebenzi nemikhankaso yokuqinisekisa inhlalakahle yabantu, ngoba bakwethu ngeke sikubalekele izwe lakithi kwaZulu lihle likhulu, kodwa amathuba emisebenzi mancane kakhulu. Kuphoqeleka manje isikhathi esiningi uyakuthola intsha yethu ethi noma ithola okuyintofana limkhombe eGoli noma limkhombe eMpumalanga ukuthi naye akwazi, ukuze akwazi ukuthi aphile, umndeni wakhe ukwazi ukuthi uphile.
All right. Well, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed. And as you say, it is far from over, this battle for the throne. Thanks so much for chatting to us. That, of course, is our senior reporter, Siphamandla Goge there.